Hello everybody, my name is Anil Chintamaneni. I am a user experience designer at Autodesk. Today I'm going to talk about some of the changes that are made to the security feature in Vault 2017. These changes do not apply to Vault Basic. So what are the changes? At a high level, the legacy security model in Vault can be considered as a two-gated model. At the first gate, you have role-based permissions, and at the second gate, there is object-based security, and that can be overridden by state-based security if state-based security is defined. So, if state-based security exists, it's going to override object-based security, also known as folder security. In 2017 release of Vault, there are essentially three gates for security. At gate 1, you still have role-based permissions. At gate 2, you have object-based security. And at gate 3, there is state-based security, which is going to act in combination with the object-based security. This table right here will give you an idea of the resulting ACL when both object-based security and state-based security are in effect. So in the old security model, the resulting ACL is always state-based ACL if the state-based ACL is in effect. So this particular column here is nothing but the values that are in this state-based ACL column. Whereas in the new security model, the resulting ACL is a combination of object-based security and state-based security. So an allow and an allow in both gates is going to result in an allow. A deny in either gate is going to result in a deny. A null, which is considered as a soft deny, is nothing but not checking the box for the permissions. And in case of groups, it's the common users between the two groups and the common allows between the two gates are going to be allowed in the resulting ACL. Let's take a look at a couple of examples here. So in the old model, when you look at this particular object-based security ACL and state-based security ACL, at OBS level, this particular group, the cylinder group, has been given read and modify permissions. Whereas at the state level, everyone is given read permission. So the resulting ACL is going to be everyone with read-only access because state-based security overrides object-based security in the old model. Coming to the new model, in 2017, for the same settings, it's the cylinder group, which is a subset of everyone, that is going to have read-only permission because it's the read permission that is common between the two as far as allows are concerned. Let's take a look at another example. In this example, there is cylinder group and there is engineers group. Both groups have a set of common users that are shared between the two groups. At the object level, the cylinder group is given read and modify permissions. At the state level, the engineers group is given read-only permission. In the old model, the engineers group is going to have the read-only access in the effective ACL. Whereas in the new model, in 2017, is the set of common users with allows in both groups that are going to appear in the resulting ACL. For example, the engineers inside the cylinder group are going to have read-only access in the effective ACL. Having said that, let me show you the product and some of the changes that have been made to the product with regards to security. So I'm currently logged into Vault as administrator. Let's go to Tools, Administration, Vault Settings, Behaviors, and Lifecycles. Over here, I have my lifecycle definitions. Let me take this particular definition as an example and show you some of the changes that have been made as far as security is concerned. Notice this new field, Definition Security. It is set to override object-based security, and the other option for the setting is combine with object-based security. Now, combine with object-based security is the default setting for all the new definitions. In this particular case, this definition is a migrated definition. This particular vault is a migrated vault from a previous release. And for all the migrated vaults, the default setting is override object-based security. What that means is that state-based security, when it's in effect, is going to override object-based security. In other words, it's going to behave the same way it did in previous releases of Vault. So state-based security is going to override folder-based security. So let me show you another definition that is created in this particular Vault after it has been migrated to 2017. So by default, this definition security is set to combine with object-based security. What that means is that the state-based security, when it's in effect, is going to combine with object-based security that is defined at the folder level. And this particular setting can be changed at any time. But keep in mind that whenever you change it, it's going to result in a search index activity that can take some time. So the admin has to acknowledge this particular message before proceeding forward. For this time, I'm going to say no to continue with the demo. this particular definition has some state-based security that is already defined. So for example, for work in progress state, this is the security that has been defined. Also, please note that the UI for setting permissions has been changed. What was a two-grid interface before is now a single-grid interface. This particular definition has state-based security defined for each and every state. So given that the new system allows you to combine state-based security with object-based security, it is very important for you as an administrator to take a look at your current security permissions at the object-based security level as well as at the state-based security level and adjust according to the new system, especially if you want to take advantage of the ability to combine state-based security with object-based security. If you don't want to combine state-based security with object-based security, you can always leave this setting at override object-based security, which will allow you to continue using your current security permissions without having to change them. It will also allow you to test the new security model in a test environment and continue to use the legacy security model using the override object-based security setting until you feel comfortable to adopt the new model that is combining state-based security with object-based security. So when you take a look at your permissions and when you want to take advantage of combining state-based security with object-based security, the key thing that you have to pay attention to is the denies at the object-based security level. Having allows just at the state-based security level is not going to be enough. A user must be allowed at both the object-based security level as well as at the state-based security level in order for that user to be allowed in the effective ACL. For example, the designers are allowed to read the object when the object is in obsolete state. That also means that the designers must be allowed to read the object at the folder security level. So in your organization, if lifecycles and state-based security is currently implemented and you want to take advantage of combining state-based security with object-based security, you will have to allow the users or groups at the OBS level always, and then at the state level, you can allow or deny users based on a particular lifecycle state. So the object may be wide open to everyone or to set of groups at the object-based level or at the folder level, but then come to lifecycle states. At each state, you can pick and choose groups and users that are allowed to view or modify or delete the object when the object is in that particular state. So now that we have talked about the definition security setting, let's talk about a few other changes that are made in this area of the product. For example, in the options area here, there is this new setting called security for files inside folders. So in your organization, if you have implemented lifecycles for folders and if you have state-based security for those lifecycle states for the folders, you can consider using this setting. This setting would essentially allow you to propagate folder state-based security to the files inside the folder. As far as folders object-based security is concerned, files inherit folders object-based security. And what we're talking about here is folders state-based security. If this were a folder lifecycle state, which is work in progress, you have these three options. When the folder is in work in progress state, apply folders state security to its files, apply a custom security to files that are in the folder. You can define what that custom security is going to be by adding or removing users or by changing permissions. Or you can remove security override from files that are in the folder. When you propagate state security to files inside the folder, that ACL is going to be applied as a state ACL or an override ACL on the files. So if the file already has a state ACL that's in effect on the file, that state ACL is going to be replaced by whatever that is defined at this level. So when the folder enters work in progress state, regardless of what the file's state-based security is at that particular time, it's going to be replaced with folder state security if this setting is set to apply folder state security to files. And if it is set to apply custom security to files inside the folder, and whatever that custom security is as per the definition here, it is used to replace any state-based security that's in effect on the object at that point. And clear security override from files inside the folder. When the folder reaches a lifecycle state, for example, in this case, when the folder goes to work in progress, if there is an override on the file at that point, the override will be removed from the file because the setting is set to clear security override from files inside the folder. So that is about propagating folder state security to the files inside the folder. Now let's talk about another change that is made to this area of the product. Transition security. Notice this text here. In addition to permissions defined here, the user must have modified permission for the object at the object-based security level to perform a transition. In previous releases of Vault, as long as the user is allowed to perform a transition as per the definition for the transition security, the user can change state whether the user has permission to modify the object or not. Going forward, transition security is going to honor object-based security. If the user is not allowed to modify the object, the user cannot perform a state transition even though the user is allowed to perform a transition as per the definition here. So for example, if user 1 is set to allow to perform a transition from work in progress to for review, the user cannot perform change state operation unless the user also has permissions to modify the object. With that, I have covered the security related changes to this area of the product, and that concludes the first part of the videos on security. To learn more, watch the second video on security. Thank you.